Now on Good Morning El Paso, the presumptive Republican nominee has now left New Mexico, but not without protesters and police lining the streets of Albuquerque. We have your complete coverage from our New Mexico mobile newsroom and live reports.
And after a complete closure of I-10 for 19 hours, police say they now know what caused that deadly collision on Monday.
I started panicking, calling 911. The operator on the 911 line was like, "I can't hear you, there's wind."
Several homes were burned to the ground, and now families are waking up without a place to call their own this morning. What caused firefighters to put out that fire that reignited several times?
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
Rise and shine. A very good morning to you, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Floren. Yes, good morning, everyone. We start off with a little bit of bad news. We're under a first alert this morning.
Yes, unfortunately, Crystal, and you have all of our coverage for us right now.
Yeah, we are under that first alert. Yesterday, we were calling for our highest winds on the 7-day forecast to hit today. And they just earned that threshold where we decided to call a first alert. A heads up for everyone. Today will be quite windy and potentially quite dusty. Here's a look at your temperatures this morning, though, because this morning things don't look bad. We're sitting on our ABC7 Storm Track WeatherNet sites. 70 at the Texas Tech Health Sciences School, 62 Rosa Guerrero Elementary, and 57 at the War Eagles Air Museum. Here at our station, we're at 65 degrees. Notice winds right now, not a big deal, 5 to 10 miles per hour. But check out a look at yesterday. Blue skies starting the day. Things look nice. You saw the school bus dropping off the kids, but we started to see a few clouds roll in, and then in the afternoon the haze move in. Dust did roll on by with higher winds, and that will be a possibility in today's forecast as well. We'll have more on those wind gusts in just a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Crystal. 6:02 now. Donald Trump's first visit to the Land of Enchantment was certainly filled with protests. Take a look. The exact situation police were hoping to avoid. Several protesters had to be taken out of the rally, but despite the number of outbreaks, Trump insisted that he wants to take care of people for and against him.
Take care of those protesters that got ripped out of here. I mean, we want to take care of them, and very gently taken out. But we want to take care of everybody. We want to be inclusive. We want to include everybody, folks. We have to. We're a group that's very well unified.
Some protesters identified themselves as supporters of Bernie Sanders, which Trump says he has no problem stealing Sanders supporters away from Hillary Clinton in November. Meanwhile, outside the rally, protesters overran police barricades and rushed the Albuquerque Convention Center. Some even threw rocks at police. ABC7's Evan Floren shows us what things were like hours leading up to the chaos. He continues our complete coverage from our New Mexico mobile newsroom. Good morning.
Before the chaos unfolded last night, things were much calmer outside the convention center. Both protesters and supporters showed up in large numbers, each wanting their voices to be heard. Donald Trump supporters were in line 10 hours before he was expected to take stage. All were eager to enter the convention center to hear the presidential candidate speak. Supporters I spoke with say it's time for a change and think Trump's the best man for the job. On the other side, protesters were irritated with Trump's visit to the Duke City. Some began to heckle supporters, making their way into the convention center. Others stood holding signs in opposition of Trump.
It's an interesting election just because it's the first time I'm going to be voting, and it's kind of upsetting that this is the kind of election I have to vote in.
We need a change in our country. We're in the same direction. The establishment controls everything. We need somebody who's independent of the establishment.
I'm disappointed in my fellow New Mexicans right now for supporting a man filled with such hatred.
Going to be interesting to see if Donald Trump makes his way back to New Mexico during his presidential campaign following last night's protests. Live from Albuquerque with our New Mexico mobile newsroom, Evan Floren, ABC7.
Thank you, Evan. And during the rally, Trump called out Governor Susana Martinez when he reached the topic of unemployment, decreased income, and a hike in the number of people with food stamps in New Mexico. Trump even said he would do a better job as governor of New Mexico. New this morning, the spokesman for Governor Martinez sent us this statement saying, quote, "The potshots weren't about policy, they were about politics. And the governor will not be bullied into supporting a candidate until she is convinced that candidate will fight for New Mexicans." Governor Martinez doesn't care about what Donald Trump says about her. She cares about what he says he will do to help New Mexicans. She didn't hear anything about that today. We will have our complete coverage continuing with another live report from Evan Floren in the next half hour.
It is now your voice, your vote. These are the final El Paso County numbers only. Longtime District Attorney Jaime Esparza will stay on the job for another 4 years, it looks like. He won last night with 51% of the votes. Esparza led his challenger, Ivan Rosales, by 425 votes. We caught up with him last night at his watch party on the east side.
I think the runoff is a different race. You know, you'll notice the turnout is not quite what it was in the primary, so it's a quite different race. But I got to tell you, the message of experience matters, that the leadership I provided to this office, I think really made a difference. And really, if you look around this room, I have lots of people who helped me spread that message.
The district covers Hudspeth and Culberson County as well, but we weren't able to reach them. Esparza tells us that he did win Culberson County. And winning his first election as county tax assessor collector, Ruben Gonzalez. He was appointed to serve the remainder of Victor Flores' term when he retired. He fended off challenger Syria Rocha by winning with 53% of the vote. And another race on the ballot for Democrats, the one between attorney Gina Palafox and municipal court judge Maria Ramirez for a seat on the 8th Court of Appeals. Palafox beat her opponent decisively with nearly 60% of the vote.
Families are left to pick up the pieces after a fire in Chaparral, New Mexico. It destroyed 6 homes, and it happened yesterday evening around 5 o'clock. The town is just to the north of northeast El Paso. Half the town is in Doñana County, the other half in Otero County. And that fire broke out on Mesilla View Drive and then jumped to Montecillo, the block behind it. And those red X's on your screen, by the way, show where the police blockades were. 5 cars were also destroyed. Investigators think the fire was an accident. Otero County Sheriff's Office officials say the high winds are what caused the flames to spread within seconds, jumping from one structure to another.
It started here in the back of my house, and it started growing, and then it went through the other house, and it was in the back, and I thought it was going to get the gas tank. So I started panicking, calling 911. The operator on the 911 line was like, "I can't hear you, there's wind."
No major injuries are reported, and there is still no word on how many people are displaced or if the Red Cross is helping this morning.
And at 6:07, time for weather and traffic on the 7s.
And Crystal Clay is standing by with a look at our forecast. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, and under that ABC 7 first alert, unfortunately, here's why. Heat, wind, and dust, all of that moderate level threat. Now, we are talking wind gusts at that 60-mile-per-hour range. That's the good news. But we are talking wind gusts that are a little bit higher than what we've been seeing today, gusts into the 40-mile-per-hour range. And with that, thicker dust coverage is possible in the afternoon. It'll still be hot as well. We're looking again at the 90s. So here it is, your planner. 73, 8 a.m., some high-level clouds, mostly sunny. The rest of today, we should be sunny to mostly sunny. 82 at noon, a high 91 degrees. And there's those windy conditions, your gusts up to 45 miles per hour along eastern mountain slopes. We'll have more not only on the winds up today, but more on that long Memorial Day weekend in just a few minutes.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. And now it's time to take a look at traffic. We're taking you out to our TxDOT traffic cameras. This is Loop 375 and North Loop, where you can see things are pretty quiet. Just before we took our camera here, we saw traffic over on the far east side also looking pretty good. No problems to tie you up this morning.
Great news. Thanks, Steph. And new this morning, as classes are winding down for Borderland students, one group at Bel Air High School is getting ready to compete on a national level. We're talking about the fashion design students. And we have Good Morning El Paso's Denise Olivas live to explain what they've been up to. Good morning.
Good morning. Bel Air has the longest running fashion design team in the Isleta School District with 80 students, most of them young girls. They focus on construction and pattern making, and the advanced students are ready to compete next month. After placing first and second in in regional and state competitions, they are moving on in hopes that their creations bring home another win. Every year, the competition has a theme. This year, students had to create 3 costumes that best represent the country of their choice. The Baylor students picked Mexico, and they delivered, creating traditional dresses with vibrant colors and hand-sewn details. Instructor Rita Sanchez Garcia agrees that learning how to sew is somewhat of a dying art, but she says this class helps girls discover their talents. And we asked students Edith and Evelyn if they had any sewing knowledge before joining the program.
No, not at all. I couldn't even pick up a needle.
And I thought it was pretty amazing how, for me not knowing anything, now I know how to actually create a garment.
Our class is growing, and you know, when girls first start, they really, since they struggle learning something new, but after a while they find it's therapeutic, it's relaxing, it's their time.
And the students are not done. They are using their talents for a good cause. I'll tell you why some of their creations are going to other countries. Back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Denise.
President Obama is wrapping up his 10th trip to Asia.
And while there, he's held several news conferences and made some pretty big announcements. Coming up, we have a wrap-up of his historic trip. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.